Take me from Seba King to Hattiesburg and back again. Into some dark and funky room where lovers dance without moving. Rockin' smooth in double jack oblivion. That bass, it's my heart thumping, my heart saying its prayers. I had moved here from being an activist and, you know, a communist in America. I had never written nothing. So I get here and I started going to poetry readings. It was something to do. I didn't know anybody. I needed to entertain myself. And that seemed like something nice. And I would go and I was totally into it. But then after a while, it felt like I didn't like the stuff that left me in my head. I wanted poetry that would hit you, that would make you feel something. And so after one of these poetry sessions like that, where these guys, beautiful poems, beautiful words, but no feeling. But this guy who was the MC said, hey, we're just a bunch of writers here together sharing what we write. And I was shocked because I'd never thought of myself as a writer. Yo. And so that night, though, I did end up writing my very first poem. But it came from that place, and it continues to come from a place of wanting to write something that someone would remember, a feeling, a space that they've imagined, you know, an experience, or to capture to make a picture forever of something, you know. So that's how I came to write. Wanting to make feeling with with words. A lot of times people think, well, if you're a feminist, you must not like brothers. Or a lot of times when brothers come to things like this, except that you guys are actually dominating. But in a lot of these poetry sessions, people are like, oh, they're just gonna be trashing the brothers. Well, I got a lot of hope for you guys. My future. Wannabes. I know black men who dream of being fathers, who wish to be near their children every day. Men who want to teach their sons to be men. Men who want to protect their daughters. These men know how to hold babies, plait hair, and make spaghetti bolognese. These men know about doctor's visits and homework and getting to school on time. Their highest aspiration is to go to work and come home to their families. These men smile for the children they would love, for the fathers they would be. I smile for the good black men that they are. I have a book called Breaking the Surface, published by Timbila. I've been in Botsotso. The journal Botsotso published a beautiful book, ISIS 10. We call it ISIS X, but it's really 10. That was by South African women poets and photographers. I'm also in an anthology, We Are, a collection published by Penguin, put together by Natalia Molebatsi. And we're working with this Cassava Republic on our erotic poetry anthology. And I've got a second book that maybe African Perspectives is gonna take up. And I've got a CD that I am dying for help to make, actually. I've been making it for 4 years and I've just fired the guy I was making it with because it didn't go anywhere.
vocal or?
A spoken word with jazz. I'm a jazz person.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'm not gonna do, I can't do hip hop. I'm not, you know. So
Yeah.
my poetry recording will be a jazz poetry recording. Maybe a blues. We might have a little blues in there. But so I'm looking to move these projects forward. And doing workshops. I personally write my best work in workshops. It's sort of the focus. I need focus and nothing else, the space to have to worry about nothing. And workshops can do that. All you're supposed to do is whatever that exercise is. So I have enjoyed turning people on, primarily women and girls, to the joy of their imagination. I mean, the other thing is, we live in South Africa. We face a myriad of problems. And the only way we're going to solve these problems is if we can think our way out of this box. And that means we have to imagine new scenarios. We have to imagine a new kind of world. And so I think poetry, which encourages people to imagine, use it, bring it in. It doesn't have to even make sense. Poetry can be illogical. Do it. And people are so freed and feel so in touch with who they are. So I've done those kinds of workshops as well. Our lives become a travelogue, crisscrossing continents, remembering the same places. We make salad and roast peanuts and speak of things to come. Now, each of us knows how to love better than ever before. Our dreams entwine throughout the night. We are spirits seeking new spaces. Yes, I am here waiting. I've been around people who are making music, and I think a lot of jazz music, at least right now, and a lot of the poetry that I'm around is trying to do the same thing. We're trying to interpret this urban experience, and especially in South Africa where it's a transition type, we're in a transition society. So we're trying to interpret musically, through the word, what we're doing, what's happening to us, what inspires us. And I find, then there's musicians like Fea Faku, Andile Yanana, Zim Mwana, Herbie. I mean, these guys, Marcus Wyatt, I mean, these are some for me, have brought me great joy. Not to mention, listening to Becky Mseleko, listening to Winston Mankunku. These are the musicians that I write poems to. Some of you around remember Moses Molelekwa. And after Moses passed, another Moses took up the band, Moses Kumalo. And this is a poem for him. I don't write long, right? But I write short pieces in parts. Part 1. I need red to tell you what you do to me. Blood red life pulsing through that sax, pressing into the marrow of my bones. Candy floss red, sweet and sticky in that gentle roll of your hip. Fire engine red, racing through the streets, filling the night with smoke and heat. Red hot embers spark me up, make me dance in my seat, eyes closed. I shout out in tender ecstasy. Part 2. Your tone, so pure, you open a window, an unseen picture comes into view, and some new kind of air enters my head. I start running, 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 becoming wind with you, finally blowing calmness into my soul. Legacy, Natalia. I walk in my own legacy, my past becoming my future, circling through time, beyond place, crossing into other realms. God is the center of now. I am a conch shell lying at the foot of my source. As a spider, my sticky filaments bind the love of the universe together. Light beings know each other, even through shadows clothed in black velvet, circling through time, beyond place, crossing into other realms. New being, you are the future, my friend. The promise of morning rising with the dawn. Yesterday is no more. Sea foam on the beach. The ocean remembers the wave. Do you know the land of your mother? Sing her song of flowing rivers through forests, under deserts, over stones. Dance for your father's people. Two-step around the fire. In a trance, you greet the child of your unborn son. Become a dove in your sister's house. Your future casts no shadow to hold you to time or place or space. For me, again, being true means trying to include all of the reality that, yeah, there's a certain after-sex smell. Yeah, that part of why I love this man is how he smells, you know. And that for me, in texturizing a poem, I make sure that I want to add those things. You know, I don't want it to just be a flat. I want there to be some stuff, some juice, some feel, some smell, some taste, you know, an acrid taste that tells you a certain thing, you know. So,
and
the saltiness of his, the sweat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that poem, I love to lick your sweat from my arm, just for the taste of you.
Beautiful poem.
And many women do that. That's another thing. I was talking out of school, telling the secrets. And when we talk about women's rights, we can talk about violence against women, sexual assault, economic freedom. But one of the biggest freedoms we need is the freedom to move around, to be able to enjoy our country, enjoy the night. In the night. Women are out in the night. We are cleaning streets. Some are walking streets. Coming home from work. Others are working. Answering a call. Rushing to the hospital to bail someone out of jail. Getting the forgotten loaf of bread. Running from here to there. Going to hang with the girls. Enjoying the freedom of the nightclub. Relaxing from a hard day of taking orders. Sunny side up by tomorrow. In stilettos, dressed to kill with glistening lips looking for kisses. And some of us are just alone again, in the dark, actually enjoying the moon. What are you doing out so late, Ma? Being a woman, officer. Being a woman. I think people are really trying to look at new ways of being. We are being challenged by everything from this horrible consumerism to our Mother Earth, to change how we do things. And part of that change means we individually have to change. And the change in the way we relate to ourselves is critical. So we're looking for new ways to be in the world with each other, which opens us up to discovery, acknowledgement, sharing about things that we couldn't before. And I think it's fabulous. I'm down for the new.
Yeah, and it's been too much to be. I mean,
It's
women
so
have been
old.
divided by patriarchy. It's illicit. I mean,
Penile women. You're
Yeah.
speaking of penile women.
yeah, sure. And
No, you know what it is, Jill? It's like, I look at TV, the opening of Parliament. I was so turned off, and you know, this is women technically who are my age group, who were in a struggle that I was, you know, thousands of miles away supporting. And I look at these sisters, and it looks like a caricature. Not just the women, the men. They're old, they're fat, they can hardly walk. They are dressed in these funny outfits and hats and wigs, and you're like, what's going on here? It's like some kind of monstrous blackface of the apartheid era, except they're women, which of course there weren't women before. But they're penile women who are not supporting women, who are not raising the issues and questions of women's safety at home and in the community. You know, so it's sort of like those aren't the new. Those, I don't expect much of those sisters. I don't think they're gonna be the ones who are gonna imagine us out of this box. Memorial for a comrade, sister, friend. It was not what it seemed, the memorial for the fallen comrade who had given her best years to exile and the movement. Theirs was faint praise, turning bad to good, shame to pride. Speaker after speaker chronicled her life on the margins of respectability. The aging poet ranted as in days gone by. Someone even gave an election pitch at the funeral, Noha. Everyone remembered how they had fought, and no one spoke of why she died sick and alone in the public hospital. The missing truth filled the hall, rained down on the Pousa-faced men and women, hobbled by arthritis and fat and swollen ankles. These old people once were leaders, revolutionaries, now caught in pomp and protocol, loyal subjects, pretending this was the dream they fought for, that they too are doing well, and no one is sick at all. There is no peace as the shadow of who she was darts and swirls behind the podium, runs screaming through the hall, her spirit hiding amongst the 29 floral arrangements on the stage. she could have lived for 6 more months on those damn flowers. This is part of the legacy from the apartheid era, where life is just hard, you know, and it's a struggle, and it's difficult, and everything is, you don't play. It's not supposed to be fun. This is more into the Calvinist stuff too. You know, our lives here on earth is not to be enjoyed. We're working, we're suffering, we're, you know, hopefully gonna make it to a better place. It's craziness. So the whole thing is we're not supposed to have fun in our lives. And certainly if you were an anti-apartheid activist, certainly if you were a white person killing people, you're not supposed to be having fun too. You're not supposed to think of an orgasm. You're not supposed to let yourself be aroused. That's all underground shit. That's all the secret stuff of people's real lives that they can't admit. Can't admit reality. How's that going to be?
It's pathological.
Yeah, what are we going to...
Then
Then you make craziness. Then you make craziness.
Yeah.
So I think that this is a way to sanity, to liberation, to enjoyment, fun, you know?
Yeah.
And of course I love words. When we share everything but our lives, when I wait and wait and wait and wait and wait, when I am a cherished but shameful secret,